Hi guys, and welcome back to Hilltop Farm. Today is the first installment in what I'm going to call the Across the Duck Pond series, where I talk about and bring to you information about our ducks. Here at Hilltop we only have Indian runner ducks. We like those because we don't have to worry about clipping wings because they don't fly, and you can get away with 3-foot fences to keep them in because they're really not very brave. They don't try and get over them. They're fabulous layers, comparable to your khaki Campbell, that kind of thing, but they're a lot more interesting in that they come in a full gamut of colours. So yeah, we don't like the whole flock to necessarily look the same. We're the same with our laying hens. We've got all different sorts of heritage breeds, and some of them only one representation of the breed, but all mixed up together. That's how we like it. So anyway, what we're doing in this this particular series, I'm going to be hatching out some eggs, showing you how that goes, then how they mature and what have you. Now I'll start with I'll put in a little bit of footage here, showing you a couple of our adult ducks. So if you don't know what an Indian runner is, this is them. The drake is, would you believe, Mandrake, and the duck, his little partner, is Josephine. So here they are. Okay, now we're out of well, virtually out of the breeding season here. We're south of the city. North of the city, they're on the tail end of their season, but ours will stop laying. And we wanted to rear some babies, so in order to get some fresh genes, we got some from interstate. And those of you that are regular watchers or have been watching my From the Hen House series, or even actually the Sunday Soapbox series, will know the trouble we've had with interstate eggs. Well, we ordered these with great trepidation, and they arrived in this packaging. How gorgeous is that? Seriously, I have never seen anything like this. It was a work of art. I opened that bag, and it's only what I showed you. That's only a plastic bag, okay? I opened it up, and inside there was a square, hard thing wrapped very well in numerous layers of bubble wrap, and I opened it, took the lid off. There was a a piece of polystyrene in the top of this solid plastic container with a lid. Took the polystyrene off, and inside there was an egg carton, a 12 egg carton cut in half, and they were turned sideways, so you had 6 sitting next to each other. And the woman had put, again, styrofoam on the bottom, and then all around the egg carton she'd cut up bits of cardboard and she packed it in here, there and everywhere. And then I took each half a dozen eggs out, and it's all taped up with sticky tape. And once I cut through that and opened that up, inside there each egg was wrapped in a very plush sheet of kitchen paper towel, and then around each egg, you know those like there's styrofoam noodle things they use in parcels for packing, and she got those and she squashed them down and wedged them all round the eggs and in all the gaps. So these eggs were not moving a muscle, and all 12 of them arrived intact. And on top of that, she hadn't washed them, which was super fantastic. So we got those 12, as I say, from came from interstate, and they're intact. But because we didn't know we were going to get them all intact, I sort of half expected to only end up with half of them. I ordered some from a friend locally, and she lives on the northern side of the city. So the day they arrived from the ones in the post, that afternoon we went on quite a long track, I must say, up to my friend's place to get the other ones. And because as I said, they're on the tail end of their season, and she said she doesn't know what the fertility is like because she hasn't tested that since before Christmas, and being the tail end of the breeding season, she wasn't sure. So she's given us 16 eggs, which is all she had, instead of 12. So we've got 16 eggs. In here, I'll show you in a second, I've got another incubator. The chicken ones are all in another room, and I've shown you that before. This is another one we have out because we do our duck eggs differently to our chickens. So I will run through and explain to you what we do, because we're a couple of days into this incubation and I just want to catch everyone up and bring you up to speed. Okay, now just quickly, you can see there, okay, I'm on the other side there, that's how many days that it's been on. So down the bottom there, it's on technically day 2. It says that, but for the first day it says 0. So although it says technically it's day 2, day 2's finished and we're into day 3, which is how it's a strange way it works, I reckon. But anyway, so I just know that whatever that says, I add 1. Now, duck eggs are in here for 28 days, and they go into lockdown day 25. But anyway, in here, bear in mind we work in Celsius in this country, so it is on 37.5. Alright, now humidity for duck eggs, I like to keep the duck eggs between 55 and 65, probably hovering around the 60 is ideal. You tend to find that your humidity drops 2 or 3 points at night and picks up during the day. I think that's to do with the temperature outside the incubator, because it's cold outside. You get a lot of moisture build up on the walls of the thing at night. But anyway, it's not enough to be a problem. You can see the humidity slightly climbing up here as we speak, but that's because I've not long had it open. Now, Now just ignore that alarm, that's just going off because I've had the lid open and the temperature and humidity telling me that it's wrong. Anyway, what I do, I take for each nest, if you like, these are the eggs that came from New South Wales. So these are in here, the ones from locally are in another container in here. So what I do, I put wood shavings in the bottom to act as the nest. Okay, now with our eggs, okay, we have an X on one side, I hope you can see that, an X on one side and an O on the other. Okay, currently O up, and what I do to fit in with our time schedule here, 5 o'clock in the morning, once I get out of bed, the very first thing I do is come to this incubator and I turn them all. So they're turned at 5 AM, they're turned again at 1 AM, and they're turned again at 9 AM before I go to bed. So they're pretty much 8 hours apart. Look, and if I'm running half an hour late occasionally, it's no biggie. But do try and turn them minimum of 3 times a day. Okay, and obviously the X and the O are so that at the moment they're all O's up, and when I turn them next they'll all be X up, and that's how it works. Now twice a day when I open them like this, I give them a light spray with a water bottle, just a couple of light squirts, and put it back in there. Now the reason I do this is you've got to remember, unlike chickens, ducks are waterfowl. And waterfowl, if you can imagine in their wild state, they make their little nest somewhere in the embankment where the humidity is higher, which is why I have my humidity on my incubator higher. But then Mum, when she gets off to feed, she jumps off the nest, she goes into the pond, 5-10 minutes feeding around, and then she gets back onto the nest. But of course when she gets back onto the nest, her chest is wet and she lays on them. Okay, now I'm just going to put these back in here. Yes, and it's going to complain again. But yes, she's got, her chest is wet, she gets back onto the nest. So in the natural state, at least once or twice a day, those eggs get just slightly moistened by Mum's feathers being damp. And on top of that, they, as I say, the duck's nest traditionally quite often amongst the reeds in the pond, but they'll nest on islands in the pond, on the banks. They very rarely are far from the water. So it stands to reason that the humidity for ducks is much, much higher. And plus they've got an extra week in there that chickens don't have. So you really don't want that membrane drying out, because there's nothing more disheartening than not having them hatch, and when you open them up to have a look to see what happened, you find they're all perfectly formed, they're just dry. And look, I know we've done it. When we first started doing it, we just put them in the egg turner, we treated them the same as chicken eggs. And yeah, and I'll be honest, because of where we have them, and the fact that, you know, these incubators, I mean, they're great, don't get me wrong, but they're not expensive, they're only cheap. So it's not uncommon. We keep an eye on them, we keep an eye on the water levels, But occasionally they do dry out, and you suddenly go to one and think, oh goodness, it's dried out, and you frantically put water in, and that's happened to us before. And with chickens, it happens once, maybe twice, sort of for a few hours, half a day. Not that big a deal, although it's not desirable. But with duck eggs, it's a death sentence, and we've come unstuck before. So yeah, after a lot of disheartening efforts, sort of we thought, okay, well, let's go back to basics here. What does Mum do in the wild situation to make sure she hatches her chicks? And that's what we've tried to do. The incubator is solely for warmth and a bit of humidity. The turning of them, the extra humidity that they get from their mother, even down to a bit of nesting material. We try and mimic all that. We try and play mother duck, and that's what we do. And the other advantage too is when they're hatching and they've come from, you might just have different enclosures on your property that they've come from, and you want to sort of put some genes from this one into that enclosure and move them about, and that's fine. But with this, the way when they hatch, you know which clutch of eggs they hatch from, so you can keep better track, if you like, of their heritage. And we, even in the past, when we've been trying to get something specific, we've put just a pair of ducks in a small enclosure before, and gathered up 6 or 7 eggs over the course of a week and hatched them. I mean, obviously you've got to leave the pair together for a month or so before you start gathering eggs, but at least you then know who the parents are. And as I say, if you're trying to get a particular colour, or you're trying to, I don't know, broaden your gene pool, it's the best way to do it. So you know what you're dealing with. So anyway, that's where we're up to. I will tell you though that because of the way we had to pick them up, the ones from New South Wales are 24 hours ahead of the local ones. So when it comes to hatch time, we're expecting obviously the New South Wales ones to start hatching first, but because there's only 24 hours in it, I will imagine they will possibly overlap. So that day 2 is actually true for these ones here, from the local ones. Day 3 is the flown in ones. Probably I'll keep an eye on it. There's no point in doing a boring video with candling and when you guys can't see anything. I don't see the point in that. But what you will find interesting is with ducks, not when you've got a dirty egg like some of those, or you've got a dark blue one or something, but most of these are pretty pinky white, and a lot of them are pretty clean. When you get an egg like that, with ducks, the veining is much bolder, and the detail is much clearer. So when I candle, you'll be able to see much more. So probably in another, when they hit 4 to 5 days, I'll probably candle them just to see what's fertile, what's not fertile. But I don't think there'll be a lot that the camera will pick up. Once they get to about 7 to 10 days, it's in that range that there'll be really something for you to see. And when that happens, I'll certainly be filming it and giving you an update. So, in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hit subscribe so you don't miss out on any other videos, and hit the bell next to the subscribe button so you'll get notified when we release a video. Give us a big thumbs up and share us on social media. And in the meantime, it's goodbye from Hilltop Farm. See ya!